Hello and welcome to economictimesbfsi.com. My name is Amol Detia and you're watching a special show on ETBFSI.com. I have with me Mr. Koshi from ONDC. So glad to have you.
It's my pleasure to be here with you.
So ONDC has been top in the news in India now. Everybody wants to know how it is shaping, and it has become actually the flavor of the season. We have quick commerce or the smart commerce or the digital commerce. Every SME, MSME, and the businesses want to strengthen themselves by using the DPI. That is what India's story is now, and connecting all this is one layer, which is ONDC. Could you please tell me, how's ONDC shaping up? What is the current state of ONDC? How many platforms are connected with you? How many institutions are connected with you? And how it's seeing it going forward?
Thank you. As you are aware, it was in January 23 that we made ourselves visible to broader public in few pin codes in Bangalore.
Yes.
So we had that time some early adopters like 500 merchants with through two or three, about 4 or 5 network participants,
Yes.
and one logistics provider and one buyer application.
Yes.
Together doing princely 1,200 transactions for the whole month because we are just starting. We started with grocery and food and then mobility. And from there, this month we will do 12.5 million transactions. From 1,200 to 12.5 million transactions. From 500 merchants to almost 7 lakh merchants. From 5 cities or 6 cities to our deliveries happen about 1,200 cities. Every day, at least some 100 to 150 to 200 cities get more than 100 deliveries. And merchants are there in about 500 cities.
Okay.
About 65% of the transactions do happen from small merchants and so on and so forth. So it's a good traction. It gave a lot of confidence for a globally unique idea like this is workable and scalable in a short time.
Right.
But compared to what is there, it is still a very, very small. We are just a tip of the iceberg. Compared to, if you look at, I mean, the whole status is not available. If you look at the major 4 or 5, enterprise together, you would be reaching a variety from food to e-commerce to mobility altogether.
Right.
In the whole market, we might have already reached about 3-4%. Okay, with the kind of number of transactions that we are doing. But we have a long way to go. What we have been doing is from three domains, we have now added 10, 12 domains. And as you said, of the most recent an addition is the area of your interest, which is in the BFSI segment,
Right.
which is we have launched credit as a product with an MPP again, with personal and consumer loans or small enterprises, small value ticket loan is something that we launch with 2 buyer applications, 3 seller applications, all making it possible for the consumers, in this case the borrowers, to come and express their interest for a loan product to one app of their choice.
Right.
And that will get broadcast to all the loan service providers available.
Okay.
Now there are a few by another few months you will see practically all the lenders will be available,
Right.
all the major.
Right.
So now, if I had to go to do the lend, I'll go to the banker whom I know, or the NBFC whom I know, or
Yes.
probably one or
Yes.
two. Yeah, ability to go there, get the information, compare everything. It's a very time-consuming affair.
Yes.
Here, I have very standard way, one application to put my requirement, give the authority for the lenders to access my information from the account aggregator, access my information from the my CIBIL kind of thing, which is
Yes.
giving you my score. All these things digitally passed on, and the lenders, their business is lending, so they will suck, and they are very technology savvy people who have come, and more is coming. They will suck in all this relevant information, the bureau data and the my account data, everything
Right.
instantly, and they have a algorithm which is running to see the credit worthiness. Just
Right.
because I successfully completed the application doesn't mean that
Yes.
I can
Yes.
be given a credit by that entity. Somebody
Yes.
else may give.
Yes.
So I'll instantly see the offer. I'll choose the best offer, and it's done. So
Yeah.
that's why all the things can be done in 6 minutes. So what is important is not that we are not offering 6-minute loan.
Yes.
We are making sure that the relevant information is collected and passed on to a broad set of audience with the least amount of headache to the buyer and with the borrower, least amount of headache to the lenders, and they can process it.
Hmm.
And tomorrow, in fact, this is just MEP. For
Right,
example, tomorrow you may see more complex loans. It could be invoice-based finance.
Yes.
It could be crop finance. So what we are saying is, since you're using a standard protocol, those like enterprises who are digital first or digitally enabled will be able to bring those information also digitally available. For example, there is already one entity who is saying that I will be able to use satellite data to look at the crop,
Yes.
cropping pattern,
Right.
the yield,
Yes.
and they can all go in and they can all talk in the same language.
Yes,
Go into this
yes.
multiple service providers. So
Exactly.
it becomes in the same way farm loan could come.
Yes.
So the whole thing is about very standardized protocol to enable buyers have access to a number of borrowers. That's the whole thing. And
Certainly.
because it's standard,
Yes.
there's a conviction and cooperation from all these people.
Yes.
Because there's nobody's proprietary
Yes.
platforms being built.
Yes.
It's an open network.
Yes.
The one that can perform the best will get the maximum benefit. And each of the providers can offer whatever that is special about the kind of customers they want to attract to.
Exactly.
So those things all will happen in a very open and transparent manner.
Right. So, how has been the interest specifically of the BFSI companies in terms of lending to these merchants or the customers? And also, if you could give us more brief in terms of how much is your acquisition cost of a customer? How long does it take for you to acquire the customers or onboard the customers on the platform? So, two things. One
is that we are not a platform.
Yes.
Secondly, the buying, if I use the word buying interface, if you are focusing only on credit side, I am too early. Because we just started.
Right.
But the beauty is there could be a number of enterprises who are providing many services to their customers.
Yes.
And they are also going to enable lending. So that means there could be they could be their already existing customers.
Right.
And then the question is about how are they publicizing themselves. But now the beauty is there's a collective publicity that is going on
Yes.
with respect to as a network.
Yes.
And I need to come, each of the enterprises will come and say, hey, I am also a way to access.
Yes.
So it becomes a little less headache for somebody to publicize themselves, their presence. And like we also publicize all our partners.
Yes.
Similarly, when many of the lending service providers are coming, they are naturally coming. Now and because they know that it is better to be a part of that.
Yes. Yes.
And then
yes.
when all these borrowers come and express their interest, get broadcast to everybody.
Yes.
So then each of them will have to prove themselves based on the quality of the service and the competitiveness of the product.
Yes.
So that becomes a much more fair possibility, not just because of the noise they make, but because of the performance they do.
So, obviously, I mean, it's a new area, it's a new flavor, and people are still trying to understand how will it work, right? So, my question to you is, while it's already there in the market, looking at the growth of India, how do you want to scale it up? How do you want to reach out to more people? And what kind of growth do you see specifically in the segment going ahead, maybe in next 1 to 2 years?
I would rather say a lot more enterprises. For example, just now I was there at the launch of Pay Nearby.
Yes.
They said they have a presence in practically every small cities across the country. And they believe that they have created an application to actually address the interest of the local customers in the small towns and cities, where they can give an assisted service.
Yes.
So probably in the village, people may be coming there, and this is one of the services that he does. And in addition, that he might be also helping him to do assisted commerce. So that way, we expect that there is a proliferation of participants to meet the requirement of variety of segment, not just the privileged segment. Because that enterprises who's operating in a small village will be operating in a completely different one, and he will also be having technological tool to sort of interact with that kind of customers is much easy, including especially with the AI etc. coming.
Yes.
I saw some of the demonstration where they are giving buyer interface in multiple languages, and I actually witnessed some demonstration. This is truly remarkable. So today, if you look at all these things, are either in English or sometime in Hindi. But now you can see the buying applications or the borrowing applications, as the case may be,
Yes.
making it really maybe even conversation based interactions. So and the advantage is, in a pure platform world, unless both of us belong to the same platform, we cannot talk to each other.
Right.
In a network world, different kinds of people will bring the consumers,
Yes.
and the suppliers will be available, and the
Yes.
consumer facing application will go and access those relevant the suppliers. So that's a beauty. So you are creating a large pool of borrowers or buyers, all available to a large pool of sellers.
Yes.
So it is no more somebody's private property.
Yes.
So that you're talking about a completely different paradigm. So that's a transformation. So with that, we expect the proliferation to be really all the way down. You saw what happened in UPI in terms of
Yes.
payment side.
Yes.
We believe that similar kind of revolution will happen in the next 4 or 5 years.
Yes.
UPI also did not succeed in one day. You remember, it took few years for it to reach all the way, and this is the same way it will happen.
I understand a couple of companies are partnered with you in terms of building the infrastructure and all. But, two parts. One is, how are you strengthening your infrastructure? How much is the cost that you're spending specifically to strengthen your infrastructure? Because that is also going to be you have to develop it and upgrade it, time by time and year by year, perhaps. That is one part. And also, how long does it take for you to onboard your suppliers on the network?
I would like to refine your question a little bit, because this is a standard confusion everybody has, because we are all so used to platform where everything is managed by one platform provider.
Right.
This is a network. In the practical sense, we have only given the protocol, which is nothing but the language, the grammar and the vocabulary for the buyer interface and the seller interface to talk to each other. It's like HTTP of commerce.
Interesting.
Okay. Now, what we need to do is to enable a gateway in the middle for the request coming from the buyers to be broadcast to us as sellers, and a directory of authorized service provider. The whole buyer support and management and service is managed by the buyer application. And all the seller support is managed by the seller application. So we call them buyer app and seller app, collectively call them network participants. So somebody who wanting to be a network participant, either on the buyer side or the seller side, based on how they can do in about 2 months' time maximum, they can be a full-fledged enterprise. And each of them build their capacity for meeting the client requirement. So I need to only bother about that gateway and the registry. Rest is only we need to take care with respect to how the network is administered. And each end, that's a beauty. It is a collective community building. For example, today in the buyer application, you have Paytm, you have Ola. Ola might be saying that I think few million customers.
Yes.
Okay, so I have to have that kind of infrastructure.
Yes.
Somebody else, like a startup, may say that my store will say that I'm going a few tens of thousands of. So I need to have that kind of stuff.
Yes.
So it is not that we have to invest for all of them. That's a fantastic power of the network model as against a platform. So similarly, platform, since everything is in one single platform, he may not be the best in doing everything. So he may not be the most efficient, most cost-effective either. Now, this unbundled and interoperable network will drive innovation for every building block and will drive specialization in each of the service. And the one that is most competitive and most cost effective will have a larger market share. So this is a very completely different paradigm than the platforms that we are used to.
Thank you for the explanation. Yes, there is some slight confusion, no doubt about it. But again, thank you so much for the explanation of that. What kind of growth do you see specifically in this area? Because we have seen a great growth in a digital world, specifically, whether it's fintech startups, they acquire customers like there is no tomorrow with the large numbers, whether it's merchant acquisition or customer acquisition. But on this particular network, which is a new thing, but what kind of growth maybe you see in next 2 years, considering whatever the numbers that you have seen till now?
I mean, I'm just saying my hope is that today Today, if you look at the penetration of e-commerce, is 8-10%. I mean, all of us might be using it, but we are the privileged community.
Yes.
We expect that with the kind of participation coming, even the assisted commerce that is coming from the small, and that should peacefully rise to about 20-25%. And you would also see participation from very broad segment of players, consumers and service providers and merchants and stuff. So we believe a significant adoption happening, but I cannot give what kind of numbers. Like I said, from 1,200 to 12 million. I mean, that percentage from a small value. But similarly, I'm hoping that, I don't have a crystal ball to gaze. I'm hoping that by end of this year, I might be doing some 30-40 million transactions every month.
Okay. And you explained on the credit part also. Obviously, the number might not be there because it's still an nascent stage. But considering India is a credit-hungry country, considering merchants look for credit aggressively, and you will have a lot of suppliers, merchants on your network going ahead, do you think credit will be one area where a lot of lenders will also join?
I'm sure that practically all non-service providers will come here, and a lot more enterprises will come and attract their consumers. And there will be a lot of digital history that will get created of the transaction they do in the digital commerce, and that will become their collateral instead of just the asset. So I believe that credit is going to be a product where there's going to be fabulous, exponential growth in terms of the service providers as well as participants. Right. But at the end of it, I'm sure that entities like the Ministry of Finance and Reserve Bank of India will also make sure that there is discipline through appropriate regulation to make sure that these rails are not misused to give unwieldy products to customers who have not had the opportunity to evaluate their. So that is something that the guardrails will take care. Our job is to make sure that the digital rails to talk and make sure that the people who are participating in the network adheres to the rules and regulations of the country. While we don't make the lending rules, that's the domain of the Reserve Bank of India and the Ministry of Finance. Yes. But what we are trying to do is only authorized enterprises participate, and they do it in a disciplined fashion. And the beauty is because everything is digital, the digital audit trail and traceability will significantly help everybody together to sort of supervise, monitor, and even reduce or avoid the probability of frauds and mischiefs.
So my last question, and slightly on a lighter note, what's the most interesting transaction that you have seen on ONDC till now? The most interesting one.
I cannot say what's the most interesting thing. If I tell you the one that I have very closely watched and excited was the first transaction that took place. It was some dhania being bought by somebody in Bangalore from a small supplier in Bangalore. Okay. And that was the first transaction in ONDC. And we are practically the seller application and the buyer application ONDC together was spent making sure that it goes through smoothly and it get delivered smoothly. In that day, I think the first day we had only 2 or 3 transactions. This first transaction took few hours. Right. But today, nobody even blinks an eye when 500,000 transactions happens every day.
I'm sure. No, because I have also seen, a lot of e-commerce companies are now selling huge products. In fact, there was a news that somebody started selling scooters online, right?
Yes, it's there.
Yes, exactly.
There.
That's why.
You would have seen an announcement today. Somebody pointed out to me. Ola is saying that he's going to make his EV bikes available.
Exactly. That's what I wanted to learn from you. But thank you so much for sharing that information with us and being part of ETBFSI.com.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes. Thank you so much for watching ETBFSI.com. Thank you.